Most of what I do when I am focusing in on my own specialties involves a period that is called late antiquity. In secular political military affairs, this is a period that saw the fragmentation, or some people would say the fall, of the Western Roman Empire. So in my research, I try to understand both sides of that picture. What are some of the factors that make a society more vulnerable to suddenly falling apart? But on the other hand, what factors make societies resilient? What helps a society be resistant to that kind of crisis? And then, in terms of the religious picture, I'm interested also in the really foundational teachers in the history of Christianity from that period. I think that even for many modern Christians, we've often lost some of their vision for reality, even though we have an enormous debt to their teaching, and I think we've been deeply impoverished by that loss. Many students arrive at university thinking that history means memorizing a bunch of really boring names and dates. And I try to trash that idea very quickly. Because in reality, as I seek to show, history is actually about understanding why things happened, understanding how things happened, and how the things that happened were connected in really surprising and sometimes fun ways. So I try to show my students that the deeper you dive into history, the more you go on a somewhat paradoxical journey. Because on the one hand, history keeps making the world more and more comprehensible. We live in a world that fundamentally makes sense. But on the other hand, the more that you study history, the more you also begin to discover just how small each of us really is in that big picture, in that perspective. How much each of us is kind of the pawn of forces that we can barely comprehend, and how complex human social experience has been. So that's the paradox, is that history presents a world that is understandable, so there's wisdom, but it's also deeply mysterious, and sometimes a little terrifying, and so there's wonder. That's what I want students to understand.